When Helensburgh was first settled and becoming developed, a residential plan was drawn up and in 1890 showed the then planned subdivisions. But on the 19th of April 1971, this 1890 plan was cancelled, but the paper subdivisions were not removed from the planning maps. Cancelled, so this map was truly off the radar. However, it has not stopped some who somehow acquired this land but was not part of the proposed residential footprint anymore. They were able to sell it on to people who were land speculators on the vague promise that the land may be rezoned for residential one day. Sales advertisements called for developers, investors, speculators and so on to buy. After all, they did have the paper subdivisions. If they were so keen to live in the area, why didn't they buy in existing residential footprints? As you can see here, they certainly used the right words to get people in. So they bought the land, thinking the 1890 paper subdivisions were still valid, even into the 21st century. But one thing they didn't count on was, in the early part of the 21st century, the world had come to appreciate looking after environmentally sensitive areas. As we strip away the layers of this area of paper subdivisions, known as the land pooling proposal, we also see that it is a proven wildlife corridor and a catchment area for the Hacking River that goes through the Australian Heritage listed Royal National Park. Herbert Creek, one of the main tributaries of the Hacking River, runs through this paper subdivision. It is a pristine creek, before it goes through other areas and reaches the Hacking. Abundant frog life and semi-rainforests surround the creek. So, what has been previously said by Wollongong councillors and former Liberal government ministers?
One of the issues which was not identified in this is the drainage of Herbert Creek into this retention pond. Herbert Creek passes through some fairly pristine rainforest area. It means that will no longer be the same.
Environmentalists claim the expansion of Helensburgh would severely damage sensitive fauna and flora.
Well, one rainforest will be totally bulldozed for housing. Another one will be accepting polluted water, whereas it's relatively clean now.
Most concern is centred on the impact development would have on Gills Creek and the sensitive Hacking River catchment. State Environment Minister Tim Moore says his government is well aware of those concerns.
The state government wouldn't want anything to go ahead in Helensburgh that wasn't going to improve water quality in the Hacking River. One of the point of putting the display out was to look at what, if anything, can be done in the Gills Creek and Camp Creek area that might, as a side effect, improve the downstream water quality in the Hacking River, and we'll just have to await the assessment of the public submissions on how that works out.
But it did never work out. The use of pollution ponds shows they do not work in extreme rainfalls, and the Helensburgh area has one of the highest rainfall readings in New South Wales. This is where two courses of the creek come together in Herbert Creek, near its start. How rare it is to see this. Who would really want to ruin this? Stanwell Top's Hanging Swamp Paper Subdivision. So, this was someone's good idea of a residential subdivision in a 15,000-year-old hanging swamp at Stanwell Tops. Our second paper subdivision is located just south of Helensburgh on the edge of the Illawarra escarpment. Though most of the paper subdivision was removed, some of it still lurks about and in private hands. One of the things owners of such places do is to innocently downgrade the land. As we once again strip away the zone layers, we reveal the extent of the area covered by the swamp. Back in February 2005, there was an attempt to clear through this land by its then owner. As you can see, it certainly tried to destroy the swamp, but Wollongong Council was alerted by nearby alarmed residents of the destruction.
What have you got out there? Seen either of them? No, no. You better get it out and show me, mate.
Nice, really nice, in the middle of the swamp. Here comes Andrew de Montwise.
This is not good. This is not good. There's nothing I want to do. The machine got stuck. No, mate, you shouldn't even be in here. This is 7A, high conservation land. It's not supposed to be anywhere near. And anyway, where do you own? Going to go and switch it off until I get confirmation that you have approval from council. This is illegal. Consent to remove vegetation. I'm going to issue you with a clean-up notice, which is going to cost you $320. This all has to be restored back to what it was. What I'm going to do first is find out whether or not you've actually got consent from council to remove the vegetation. What you've got to understand is this is what's called a hanging swamp. Regardless of the fact that it's privately owned, it's a hanging swamp. It's probably the only one left in the whole Illawarra. It's zone 7A, which is council's highest environmental conservation protection zone. It is a zone that will never have development in it. This sort of thing is just, frankly, is leaving me totally gobsmacked. You should have been liaising with the council to discuss you don't just go in and remove dead trees for a start, because they've got also, especially in this sort of conservation zone, you're not going to have people camping here.
Like when I come here every weekend, or every second weekend, my kids up and down.
Yeah, kids are up and down. Well, kids are going to do that sort of thing. That's just an unfortunate. If one of those stags fell over and killed a kid, that would be unfortunate. I don't think it would be actually liable. So there's a number of problems here. I'm going to make a couple of phone calls, but it works without consent. Basically, all this is illegal. And this sort of thing is just...
Yeah, but this is unfortunate.
This is outrageous. It's hanging swamp on this, all this ecological value, from water quality, from biodiversity, could be threatened plants. That's where we stop. So you're doing this work because you reckon the Rural Fire Service has given you an order to clear land?
Yeah,
or to manage the bushfire issue?
Yeah, both. Actually, I was going to do a little road just so the fire brigade can get in and out.
What did the notice say from the Rural Fire Service? You got that in the... Fucking geese. This is outrageous. Oh mate, it'll be interesting to see what this letter says.
They actually gave us a letter when they had a bushfire, yeah? They said to us, basically clean up as much as you can.
In response to the complaint, an officer of the New South Wales Rural Fire Service has inspected the area of concern and has determined that the land does not present a significant bushfire threat at this time. So did you then go to council and get a tree management order? No. So you don't have approval for any of this?
Even went out to neighbours this morning. They're happy, basically happy.
No, I don't give a shit what the neighbours say. This is illegal.
I think I'm doing the right thing.
No, you're not doing the right thing. What you're doing is illegal. Do you understand that? You are doing an illegal activity. And he needs to get out of here now. So can you go, once you've given me your
I can't get him out now. I'll get him ready to go for the float to come and get him out.
Out of there now, yeah.
In the end, nothing much happened. Council management was slack in proceeding against the person and did nothing of any consequence of any entitled $1 million fine. Over 7 years later, residents are still waiting to see if there would be any substantial action. The only thing of any prospect is that the council is supposed to be negotiating for the hanging swamp to come into public hands, but there is no outcome yet to the current date. Bald Hill Paper Subdivision. Now our third main paper subdivision area is world-famous Bald Hill, a place renowned for a spectacular scenic view of the south coast and across to the Illawarra escarpment. Well known for the hang gliding, it is completely ridiculous to have this famous scenic lookout still covered in paper subdivisions. So, are we to lose these environmental and scenic areas because they have these outdated paper subdivisions with the majority owned by speculators? When we see views such as this from the paper subdivisions, we can only hope common sense prevails, so that these paper subdivisions are not allowed to be developed in such environmentally sensitive areas. There is ample room for more building within the existing designated residential footprints of the area. The pristine environmental area between Sydney and Wollongong is regarded as the lungs of Sydney. The Illawarra escarpment has been described by Sir David Attenborough as the Kakadu of New South Wales. The paper subdivisions must be removed from this local area as it must be protected for future generations. For we already know what happens when we lose areas that should be in public hands.